Yeah, it took me long enough to get to this album. Hello again, everybody. This is Ed with Call Me Mr. Broadstreet. So first of all, Happy New Year 2022. We've all made it. And as you saw from the pre-credit sequence, it's taken me long enough to get to this album. So I just can't wait to share this with you, of course. And in case there is any doubt, yes, this is where I get the name of my channel from. So just in case there was any mystery about that. Anyways, this is part one of three where I'm going to review the album itself. So today in this episode, part one, we're going to cover the album. Next episode, part two, I'll go ahead and cover the film itself. And then subsequent episode, part three, that's where I'm going to go into more just the various memorabilia with Give My Regards to Broadstreet. So let's go ahead and dive into the album. First of all, we'll go ahead and just put up a couple pictures of the album, so we'll just give it a second and I'll come right back with the main facts about the album. Here we go. Okay, and now that I'm back, so the album itself was released on October 22nd, 1984. It charted in the United States at number 21 and went gold. It charted in the UK at number 1. Now, the LP is just around 45 minutes, while the CD version has some extra tracks and extra timing on some of the tracks, and it's closer to 60 minutes. So I'll just go ahead and actually, go ahead and just show you some of this again. I know you saw some of the pictures, but I just want to show you physically in real time. So there's the cover, the original hype sticker right there. Let's see here. We've also got the next version. I'll go ahead and show you. No real particular order. That's a sealed long box right there for collectability purposes. We've got the cassette right here. And of course we've got compact disc. This is the original Columbia release from 1984. Next I've got the 1993 re-release with 2 extra bonus tracks. I'll get to those in the review. And finally, for the most part, we've got right here the Capital CD release from 1991. That's where I'll be using most of my references for the album itself. So go ahead and dive into all the tracks. So the first track, No More Lonely Nights. This is the first original track on the album. Now the version on the album itself is 5 minutes and 14 seconds versus the normal single version of 4 minutes and 44 seconds. The single version can be found on All the Best, Wingspan, and Pure McCartney if you're just seeking out the single version. The main difference is that this particular version has a couple extra bass notes at the beginning of No More Lonely Nights as the first track on the album proper. The song peaked at number 6 in the US and number 2 in the UK. Was also released on 7-inch and 12-inch versions. And I'm going to go ahead and show off some photos, so just give us a second here and we'll go ahead and get some photos out there. Here we go. Okay, now that I'm back, no particular order, but just to show again, this is the version I got from a store in Maryland. Now down here it says dance mix, 4 minutes 14 seconds. I'm assuming that's on the record itself. I don't think I've opened this in a very long time, if ever. So I got that. Here's just the original single right here. I like the cover art as well, right here. Always thought this was a very nice photo. And then the back cover art, that's actually one of the scenes from the film right there. And again, obviously you'll have seen the better photos, but I like to always show it physically in real time. So here we go. This is the 12-inch single version right here. Another scene from the film. Of course, this is a promo copy right here that you will have seen on the photos itself. And finally, we've got the picture disc, which I think is a really nice piece of memorabilia. I'm trying to remember where I got this from, and I can't. But there we go. Got the picture disc right there. Got the hype sticker right here. On the back of it, again, photo from the film itself during the Silly Love Song sequence. Again, picture disc is very nice. I think picture discs, they go back to about the 40s, so again, not one I've ever played on a record player, nor do I ever plan to. So going back to the song, just to kind of wrap up this portion, a few months ago when I appeared on the Two Legs episode of the Top 20 McCartney solo songs of all time, this was number 1 for me. No question, no qualifier needed. I just can't praise this song enough. Paul's vocals and piano playing is in top form, and it contains an amazing end solo from David Gilmour of Pink Floyd. They had both previously collaborated on the Rockestra theme in 1979. They would also collaborate on the song We Got Married, which was started in 1984. That would actually be included on the 1989 album Flowers in the Dirt. And once again, they would collaborate on the Run Devil Run album in 1999. Now, this was the last song recorded for the film, and this is per Luca Perazzi's excellent book right here. I'm going to end up doing a separate review of that at some point. This is Paul McCartney Recording Sessions, 1969 to 2013. So according to his book, and that's what I mean when I'm referring to the book in this review, basically, this was recorded either June or July of 1984 in one 3-hour session, which is kind of rare for a Paul song. Normally it would be over a course of weeks, if not months, or years in some cases. The result is one of Paul's best songs. Again, I would put it ahead even of quite a few McCartney-penned Beatles songs. I said what I said, but hey, this is an amazing song. Believe me, this is everything. This shows off just everything about Paul's songwriting craft. Just a great example. My favorite song of his of all time. So there you go. And then we're going to go ahead and move on to the next track. The next track is Good Day Sunshine, track number 2 on the album. This is a remake of the original track from Revolver in 1966. It's a pleasant track. Paul is in good vocal form here. The drums seem a slight bit more prominent during the chorus versus the original version. You get the title of Corridor Music tacked on to the end of this version of the song. It's really just a snippet from the film. When I get to the film, it's literally just some corridor music during one of the film scenes in which Paul is talking to someone else in a corridor near the studio. So there you go. Track number 3 is Yesterday. This is a remake of the 1965 single here. There seems to be a little bit more longing in the voice here versus the original version. Again, at this point, of course, John was violently taken away from us just 4 years before this film came out. So again, the lyrics hit differently from someone who's singing this in their 40s versus someone singing this very same song in their 20s. We continue with track number 5, Wanderlust. This is a remake of the 1982 original track from Tug of War. The vocal seems a tiny bit clearer in this version, but you really can't go wrong with either version, on either the original version off of Tug of War or the version on this album. There seems to be a little bit more prominent drums at the beginning, so That's what I seemed to notice when I was re-listening to the album for this review. The story behind the song is it was inspired from the 1977 sessions for London Town, which was released in 1978. The basic story is the captain of one of the boats that Wings were staying on at the time smelled some marijuana on board. So the captain warns Paul, hey, if there's further drug use, he's going to have the police come and search the boat. Paul and company weren't too happy about this, of course. They moved to another smaller boat called Wanderlust, and they were able to relax more. So that's the story behind that particular song. We then come to track number 6, which is Ballroom Dancing. Again, another remake of the 1982 original track from Tug of War. Again, just with the previous track, a great track on either album, can't go wrong. This actually features John Paul Jones on bass. Yes, that John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. They also worked together on the 1979 Wings track Rockestra theme for Back to the Egg as well. So you see, everything's interconnected. The version of this song is about 4 minutes and 51 seconds versus the 4 minute and 9-second version on the original Tug of War album. About 2.5 minutes in, there's a nice guitar part here. It's almost kind of like a slight rave up in the middle. And Paul does add an additional lyric to this version of the song, not found on the original version. The lyric that's added to this version, well, the kids have flown to another life, and the boy's a man, and the girl's a wife, and the summertime never seems to last when you're riding on a rocket. And now we get to track number 7, which is remake of Silly Love Songs. This is a remake of the 1976 original track from Wings at the Speed of Sound. This version clocks in at 5 minutes and 27 seconds versus the original length of 5 minutes and 54 seconds on the album version found on that 1976 album. There's definitely more bass on this particular version, and I know this track, it gets a lot of flack from McCartney fans. I don't care, I love this version. I enjoy it, I really do. There's kind of a bass solo part in the middle, it's like this slap bass part. About 3.5 minutes into the song. Really, I enjoy the song. I enjoy this remake. I think it's just a fun 1984 take, for lack of a better word, on a 1976 song. Just my opinion on it anyways. And now that brings us to track number 8, Not Such a Bad Boy. This is the next original track on the album. And again, per the book I mentioned at the top of this review, again, excellent book. I will do that separate review. This was recorded around March of 1983. Again, just a great rocking track. Definitely a favorite of mine. Definitely just one of my favorite tracks off the whole album. It was recorded live during filming, just like the entire soundtrack for the most part. So it's really got some great guitar by both Dave Edmunds and Chris Spedding, two British session musicians. You also get Ringo on drums for this track. There's also some great lyrics. Talk to my lawyer, picked up my bail, won't someone get me out this lousy jail? And then just the chorus, I'm not such a bad boy, no more, no more, no more. So again, just a really good, fun driving track, really one of my favorites. Then we go into the 9th track on the album, So Bad. This is a remake of the 1983 track from Pipes of Peace. There's not much difference between this and the original version. It's a nice ballad. You get some great backing vocals by Linda, Eric Stewart of 10cc fame, and great drumming by Ringo. Same lineup as the original track from the previous year's album, Pipes of Peace. Again, just a very nice ballad. And basically Linda, Ringo, Eric Stewart, and Paul kind of collaborated a lot during this time between about 1982, starting with Tug of War, and Paul specifically with Linda and Eric Stewart, all the way up to 1986's Press to Play. I'll get to that in another review as well. We then get to track number 10, No Values. This is the next original track on the album. Just another favorite of mine. Very strong track. Love it. Can't hear it enough. It's the second song that Paul has literally dreamt up. The first, and the story he always tells, is about dreaming up yesterday. Well, I dreamt about it and presented it to different people, and they said, no, it's an original. okay, that's the Yesterday story. A lot of us more hardcore fans have heard that story dozens of times by this point. This particular song was written by Paul in the late 70s, and a rehearsal was done with the last incarnation of Wings. That's circa 1979, back to the Egg era. So with no values, he dreamt about the Rolling Stones performing it. And he thought, well, wait, is this one of their songs that I must have heard? Personally, I'd like to think that he saw a video probably from the 1978 Some Girls album era, somewhere around there, that probably inspired this dream, kind of like a performance clip. That's my thinking on it anyways. It certainly fits their style. There's just some great lyrics with the song as well. I hear them telling me you're settling off the furniture and even keep my personalized autographs. You might as well go all the way and sell your granny to the zoo. Another great little lyric besides the chorus. The city shark is at the dark end of the alleyway. You pays your money and you takes your choice. The artful dodger says he wants to pick a pocket or two. That's from the musical Oliver. Really just a cool little line. And then it just continues, but you've taken up your place in high society. A personal friend of Messrs. Rolls and Royce. Got them all convinced that everything you say to them is true. I just like to think maybe it's inspired by No Values. Probably the Alan Klein bit. There's definitely been whole books, whole passages, whole paragraphs written about Alan Klein and the eventual mismanagement of the Beatles, much like a lot of problems that Alan Klein had with the Rolling Stones, who tried to warn most of the Beatles about not going with Alan Klein. Paul was the holdout. He was proven right in the end, in that particular case, but again, I just like to think that maybe that's applying to Alan Klein, either directly or indirectly or inspired by him. But again, just another favorite track, really rocking track. You can't go wrong with it. That's one of the songs I would love to hear performed live, really along with Not Such a Bad Boy and No More Lonely Nights, the ballad. Will it ever happen? Probably not, but you never know. And next we get the 11th track, For No One. Again, this is a remake of the song from the 1966 album Revolver. For No One, it's 2 minutes and 12 seconds here versus 2 minutes flat on the original album. There's just a nice violin intro here before the song proper begins. Paul's in fine voice here. Not a lot to comment on this particular track, so we're going to go ahead and move it along. Track number 12, we get Eleanor Rigby / Eleanor's Dream. 9 minutes and 11 seconds in total. Now, to me, this is the weakest track on the album. It's still nicely done, of course, but just the weakest to me personally. I've never really connected with it. The problem to me is it's a bit too long. Although for about 7 minutes and some change, there's a new classical piece that follows the Eleanor Rigby proper song on this album. This does foreshadow the Liverpool Oratorio in 1991, which Paul does collaborate with Carl Davis at that point. So it's kind of just an interesting little foreshadowing of what was to come. For me here, I would have put another new track in its place. Again, least favorite track in the entire album. Just my own take on it. We get track number 13, which is The Long and Winding Road. This particular track, it's 3 minutes and 57 seconds here versus 3 minutes and 38 seconds on the Let It Be album, originally from 1970, or released in 1970. A lot of people, again, give flack for the saxophone on this song. I enjoy it. I think the way that Paul sings it here seems to have a lot more longing, no real pun intended, versus the original version. I think a little more soulful vocal here versus the original. That's my take on it. It's not going to displace it as a classical, I shouldn't say classical, but a classic piece, as it were. But still a nice version in my view. We get track number 14, No More Lonely Nights, the play-out version. So this is another new track of sorts on the LP and on the CD. You can find a clean version without the film dialogue on the Wingspan Disc 2 History. This is kind of an up-tempo version of the ballad. Now the ballad, clearly the classic track of the two. If I only had to pick one, I'm going with the ballad that we all know and love, or that a lot of us know and love. This is enjoyable in that kind of 1980s disco/dance way with the track. Again, per the book that I've referenced, it was recorded in either July or September of 1984. There's not quite a lot of exact information on that. Basically what happened is 20th Century Fox came to Paul and they said, hey, we need a song for the end credits. So instead of a new one, Paul just kind of went up-tempo with the No More Lonely Nights ballad, add some horns, some kind of disco effects, if you will, and there you go, there you have it. Finally, we get track number 15. That's exclusive to the CD itself. So it's not on the LP, but it is on the longer CD that ends the CD. Other than a spoken word intro by Paul, again with the song, Goodnight Princess, it's really kind of like a 1930s, 1940s style instrumental. That's a nice ending to the CD. I mean, it is actually heard when Paul is talking to Sir Ralph Richardson in the film. It's kind of heard in the background. It's something that probably Paul's father, Jim McCartney, would have enjoyed had he been alive to see the film. Again, just that very, old-time kind of ballady 1930s feel to it, in my view. And finally, we get to the 1993 bonus tracks. These are just really variations on the No More Lonely Nights playout track. They're still nice to have. So if I go digging through right now, this is the version I'm referring to for these two particular tracks, re-released in 1993. You get No More Lonely Nights, the extended version. It's listed as 6 minutes and 56 seconds on the CD, but when you're playing the track, it's actually 8 minutes and 10 seconds on the CD itself. So again, just kind of a lot more bells and whistles, but variation on the playout theme. Track number 17 on that same reissue, you get No More Lonely Nights special dance mix. Listed as 4 minutes and 21 seconds on the CD. Again, just a variation on the playout version. Different effects here or there, but nice to have. I do hope that this album gets an archive release through the archive collection. I think certainly pulling this all together would be great, along with any other type of outtakes, other tracks attempted, demo versions. I think it could easily fill up a couple CDs on a nice set for a future archive release. And as far as the album itself, I'm going to rate this as an essential album. I know some people might look at me and go, wait, essential? How can you? But yeah, it's an essential album. This is really the last album to contain a top 10 Paul McCartney song, both in the US and the UK, that he scored, at least on his own. Definitely probably one of the last top 10 classic tracks that a lot of McCartney fans out there remember. Of course, yes, you get Spies Like Us the next year in 1985, which does hit number 7 on the charts, but that's a standalone single the next year, not associated with this album itself. Again, essential album. This is kind of the bridge between Paul's kind of earlier career and now what we get as his elder statesman phase that he's kind of coming into. So again, that's my review for the Give My Regards to Broad Street album. I'm glad I finally got to it. The next week's review is going to be part 2. Part 2 will be a review of the film itself. I appreciate all the current subscribers, all the new subscribers. Thank you all so much. It's made this past year a blast, and I hope to just keep continuing. Other than that, just please stay safe, and also just remember to please give a thumbs up, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. So until next time, again, just be safe, and I'll see everybody later. Bye.